It's the Hoopwise podcast from New England Basketball Journal, a comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
Welcome back to another episode of the Hoopwise podcast. We are part of New England Basketball Journal. My name is Ethan Fuller. I'm joined, as always, by Steve Hewitt, and we have got some basketball. It is prep school season. A couple of the teams have started off in the last week or so, but we're here to preview everything in NEPSAC today. This is NEPSAC Boys season preview. Steve and our guest Brad Feldman will be breaking down a lot of the top teams and players that you're going to see this winter season. And just to intro Brad, he is not only the play-by-play voice of the New England Revolution and the founder of Super Preps, he is also the play-by-play voice, soon to be, of the New England Basketball League, and executive producing a lot of the streaming work that's going to happen. This is kind of breaking news, so I will give Brad the floor. Tell us about this.
Little scoop here.
Yeah, thanks, Ethan and Steve, for having me on. And this is an exciting time going into this weekend, November 16th, 17th, at the track at New Balance headquarters. As many of your listeners are already aware, NEBL is having their first of 3 showcase weekends, and we're going to be streaming that as per usual on the NEBL YouTube channel. I encourage everybody to get there because it's a terrific facility, high-level basketball, and all the day of game stuff there is going to be really good. But going forward, NEBL is going to be streaming on Game On, Total Sports Network, Go ! And if you have any of those fast channel OTT networks like Samsung TV Plus, Vizio, Roku's going to be adding the channel, Pluto TV. I could go on. It's a whole list of like 7 or 8, and it's going to be growing. Like Google Play, whatever their new fast TV thing. Anyway, NEBL games are going to be on there globally. So it's a really exciting time, and it's been really fun working with the programs and the schools to get that launched. And this is going to be kind of a live beta because the channel Game On hasn't even launched yet. That's right after Thanksgiving. So they're going to be producing the game on site with the truck and everything. So it's going to be a big step up from what we're used to seeing with most of these streams. Right. It's going to look more like a college basketball game, I think. And so, and so it's going to be really fun. And the best part is for several of the games, the one and only Vin Pastore is going to be our analyst, and that's going to give it some real, not just expertise and gravitas, but New England flavor. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's sick.
This is, as someone who is constantly desperate to find high school and prep school film just anywhere, it is so hard to look for the right places. I'm really excited for this, just to know where. And obviously the NEBL is a really great league with a lot of the best teams in the region.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I'm so excited because going back over 20 years, when I first moved back to the area, I was doing freelance reporting for the AT&T broadband channel, AT&T 3, and I pitched them on doing a story about a Winchendon Redemption Christian game. They didn't know what I was talking about, but that was kind of a golden. And Winchendon was, they've had a couple of eras, but that was, one of their peak eras. And I went out there with a camera crew, and we did a story, and it was a terrific game. And it's a different era of New England prep hoops. But anyway, since then, I've been saying there should be a Super Preps channel. And what this package is that a first big step towards that. And the people at Game On really want the content, so I think it'll be a great thing.
Yeah. So is this going to be just for this season, like broadcasting all the NEBL games? And
yeah, I think there are other possibilities too. I expect our phones to start ringing when people see what it is. Different schools have different priorities around media. Some of them just want a one-camera stream so that their alumni and college coaches can see it. But in this world where you have events like the one we were at with AJ DeBanza at Emmanuel, and these the other leagues like OTE on Amazon Prime, I think for the schools that are prioritizing exposure and D1 college placement for their players, this kind of media makes sense. And it's just one component to all the things people are doing. And I understand this is another topic for another day. New England prep hoops encompasses a NEPSAC in particular, a whole range of schools. And basketball figures differently in the equation for each one of them. And so we want to try to provide a solution for the schools that want something like this. and it's no disrespect to anybody who has another set of priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it just is really exciting. And I think with us even existing, you can tell there is a growing community of people who are consistently invested in the prep hoop scene for what it is and not just for prospects and stuff. They're following the actual teams at this point. And I think channel is another way for people to kind of keep up with actual schools and teams versus just kind of knowing the names and the rankings lists and stuff like that.
Right. And to watch the games because they're playing good ball.
Yep.
It's really like the coaches and the kind of players they're bringing in, it's attractive to the eye. And it's also, I was lucky enough to get a ticket to the Celtics game last night. But if you want good basketball in Boston, the price is right for this. And, whether you're watching the stream or you're going to the event in person.
Yeah, we've talked about this many times, but again, prep, high school, you're finding some of the best value basketball in New England that you're ever going to find. I've talked about hoop hall all the time as being great value for what it is, but these prep games and these showcases too, you're watching entire days of great basketball and future college, possible NBA players, for a fraction of the price that you would go to a Celtics game at this point.
Yes, yes. Well, we're preaching to the converted here, but yeah, I concur with that.
Well, will this stream? Is there a subscription to go along with it?
Not to start with, not this year.
Just
So
YouTube.
that's the thing about Samsung TV Plus. Any Samsung device, you can also create a login and stream it on your laptop or digital device. But anybody who has a Samsung phone or television, you get that menu already. At my house, we stream the 80s video channel, but they have news and things like that. But if you look at each one of these services has their own channel menu, and I don't want to go on and on about this, but if you go to the sports section, they're adding channels by the day. They already have like the ACC network and FIFA for soccer.
Okay.
And then you'll have garbage, third tier indie wrestling circuits. Some people like that. Yeah. There's a restaurant I go to in Western Mass where they've got Fail Nation TV on a loop. If that's what you want, America's funniest home videos on a loop. But what they realize is that live sports is the quality, and that's the attractor for a lot of people. So the live games in particular. And, I think it's going to bring in a global audience. I think it's going to really raise the profile. But that's, I don't want to, that's the pitch. But I think it's going to be good for everybody involved.
Especially when you talk about some of these players on these programs are from overseas. And
100%. And you can provide their family a link and stream it live. It will be great. And I think it will attract more good players. Now we're seeing players from Scandinavia,
Nigeria.
West Africa, down under in Australia and in New Zealand. It's a global game, and it's a global league, and it's beyond NEBL. NEPSAC is filled with players from all over the globe. You're right.
Yeah. We're really excited about it, and we just found this out minutes before we went on air. So this is not something we really plan to talk about, but it's cool, and I'm excited to watch a lot of these games.
Me too. If you can't tell,
yeah. So let's get into some of these teams. Some of these teams are part of the NEBL, but we're going to look more broadly at the NEPSAC boys scene right now. We're going to go from Class AAA down to Class B. Kind of take it class by class, look at some of the top teams, top players. I'm basically just going to tee up Steve and Brad for them to dish on a lot of these teams and players, but we can get started with AAA. As you'd kind of expect, top tier, best, a lot of these top best schools in New England are in Class AAA. Steve, I'll let you kind of go. Where do you want to take this?
I feel like we should point out that both of us, the AAA season has begun.
Yes.
Over this last weekend, and both Brad and I were at games in separate locations. Brad was out; he made the trip out to Darrow, right out to New York.
Yep.
To catch a few of their games. I stayed local. I checked out Newman. They played against Navy Prep on Saturday. Blew them out.
Officially a scrimmage, yeah.
Yeah. Well, John Carroll said that they're going to count it as a real game. But,
they are. Okay.
Okay. I'm not.
If JC said it, that's the law.
Yeah. Shout out JC. I guess So you saw New Hampton. They're probably the clear-cut favorite in my eyes coming back.
They lead your power rankings.
They lead my power rankings.
Yeah, as long if you exclude the Power 5 teams, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Maybe some takeaways for you.
So I got to see Darrow twice, obviously. New Hampton Saturday, Bridgeton on Sunday. New Hampton went to Hoosac. They beat Hoosac on Friday. I wanted to go to that game and just couldn't make it out there in time. But they didn't have Will Good, and I think you have to take those results. And when I went up to their open gym 3 weeks ago, Will was out injured as well. So I still have not seen New Hampton with their highly touted 6'9", sort of stretch 4 guy, who I think is going to be a big ingredient. But Chad Cook has stepped it up. He looks more mobile, maybe a little leaner, a little more range, or they're letting him let it fly from behind the arc. The conversation begins and ends about New Hampton with Keyshawn Tillery. Like he, and you guys have featured him, and rightly so. He's going to Cincinnati. He is tough. He just makes plays both sides of the ball. Has a tremendous burst, always has his head up, can hit an outside shot, gets into the paint, draws, dishes. And then when it was a tight game, and you give Darrow credit for keeping it close, like I think it was at 6-7 point margin, under 7 minutes to go in the second half.
Yeah.
But he comes up with big steals and big moments, and
a winning player.
Yeah, winning player, gets to the line when you need that. And so when you talk about New Hampton, Keyshawn, but then they've got Mason Blackwood, who didn't play big minutes on Saturday, but obviously, tremendous scorer, has expanded his bag. I think he was very linear when I first saw him, and he was more scoring off of, cuts and drives. Now he has a midi, occasionally will pull from behind the arc. He gets, a ton of big rebounds, and he's just long, athletic, and plays with a positive vibe and high motor. And then, you've got Jaden Harrington, who can shoot the ball, Ty Tabalis, who can shoot the ball. They've brought in a few other guys who are really good too. So I think that they bring Naz Meyer. Like, how did I leave him out? Going to Wyoming. So I think their first, 8 guys, maybe 9, are, really, really tops. But I have not seen them with Will Good yet, and I think they'll be even better. Because Darrow did give him a game, but Darrow's been underrated. I don't know if you want to go there next, but Darrow's good.
Yeah. And just staying on New Hampton, it just feels like it's just a motivated group. They made the Class AAA championship game last season, lost to a great Vermont Academy team with Joe Sansana and Chike Ndefu. And when I went to their open gym a few months ago, Andrew Gale, the head coach, just told me maybe they weren't ready to win a championship in that moment. Maybe not mature enough in some ways. It didn't handle some of their wins last season. Obviously, this is new to me. I haven't followed them for a full season yet, but talking to Coach Gale, maybe they just weren't ready to make that championship step. And now that they have their entire core back, they added some impact additions. Talk about Chad Cook, had a huge spring, summer development-wise. I think they're the clear-cut favorite in AAA, and they're on a mission this season. So,
I will say this. Styles make fights.
Okay.
It's hard for me to say they're the clear-cut favorites, even though I love what Coach Gale is doing up there. I think the fact that they have cohesion and a core that's moving forward together, in a world where there are schools that bring back completely new rosters of post-grads every year, having guys who've come through the program, have played a season or two together, know the system is great. And you're right to point out Cook's development. Also, Jaden Harrington used to be just a guy they put in the corner for kickouts, right? Now he's catching the ball above the break, and he'll show and go. Get it, he'll play off the closeout and get into the paint. He's still learning. I talked briefly with his dad after the game, but like that, you remember when Duncan Robinson started putting the ball on the floor, all of a sudden there's this cascade of other options that open up. And,
absolutely,
I think that, Harrington is going to, whose efficiency stats, at least mid-season, were as good as anybody in the league, but he was basically just a catch-and-shoot jump shooter. Yeah. Andrew Gale and his excellent staff are developing players like Cook and Harrington, and I think that's going to make them even tougher. The one thing they don't have is the unlimited depth of like a Putnam Science or a Newman where they go 2-3 deep.
Yeah. And they don't have a true rim protector either.
Let's see Will Good. Let's see what he does.
Let's see.
Yeah. He's not Oswin, but yeah, but having
right.
I think he's more mobile than Oscar Edelman, who they lost and went
right.
to Wesleyan, who is terrific. Made the most of what he has, but he wasn't a leaper. And I think Will Good's more athletic. But again, I have to see him.
Yeah, I haven't seen him either, so I'm excited excited this weekend to see him.
You briefly mentioned Newman too, and Newman is 2 on your rankings to start the season.
Yeah. Just give away my whole rankings.
Yeah. We also, not to tease too much, Steve wrote a really interesting feature about Newman and kind of the sudden rise they've been on. That's in our fall magazine, which dropped literally today when we were airing.
Yeah.
But to get to that, you mentioned kind of the depth that Newman has and how that really puts it in a unique conversation among this top tier of contenders. You've been at the scrimmage. We've been at the open gym. What have you kind of noticed from a lot of the players?
So Saturday, I went to their game against Navy Prep, and it was just total domination. And obviously, the opposition is not at the best. They're going to be playing a lot better competition this weekend at NEBL. But
got a terrific coach though.
Jackson Johnson.
No, Navy Prep. Yeah.
Okay.
No, Tim is a Boston legend, Wayland High, BC.
Okay.
He's one of the
I didn't look into them that deeply. That's good. That's a good tip. But just the competitive energy for the full, 40 minutes. I didn't make a note of how many turnovers they forced, but it seemed like it was every other possession that their guards are just getting into their Navy's guards, and the Jalen Harpers and Chase Jeremiah's, and just run down the list. They have just ultra competitive guard play, shooters with Chase. And then obviously Collins inside is a force to be reckoned with. He made my AAA preseason team. So super competitive defensive wise, and they're deep. They can roll out 10 to 12 guys. It's almost like kind of line shifts. I don't know if you've had a chance to see them at all.
I've been to Pride. Because I'm their home gym now.
Is at the track.
Is at New Balance, and so in the preparation for this, and it's also the closest gym to where I live.
Same.
So I've seen a bunch of them, and I watched a lot of them last year, and they do return guys like Chase Jeremiah and Collins and people like that. But I would say that some other guys that you really have to mention include Quinn Costello, who's had a huge leap forward. He was mostly playing on their second prep team. And coming off the bench for spot duty with the national team last year. 6'9", 6'10", he's getting offers from places like Michigan State. He's like a legit, stretch 4, or you can play him as a wing. I think the fact that Quinn played on the blacktop a lot this summer really helped.
Okay.
Like 1 week he got dunked on it, let it fly. Next week at 14 league he comes back and he's the guy posterizing the defender. And his confidence, he's 6'9.5", and he can shoot from behind the arc, and he's fluid. Sleeper of the year for AAA, Lucas Murillo.
Okay.
Lucas Murillo.
Let's go. That's my guy.
So we were at the open gym a few weeks ago. Ethan made a note to JC and Jackson about how impressed he was by it.
He's a Swiss Army knife. He's not uber athletic. He's plenty athletic, but he just high IQ player. He can shoot the ball. He sort of looks effortless. Yep. He has wiggle, but it's efficient, and he just makes the right play. He gets on the glass, but he's not loud about it. He just gets you putbacks, and he'll drive and just do a drop off pass so that then Collins can slam it home. He is big, and you mentioned Harper. I think other guys for me, watch. They say that Timmy Bolin, the older of the two of the Bolin brothers, is going to be hard to keep off the court. And I love that Chase got the Penn offer, and I hope that goes forward, because I watch him a lot with BABC as well. Yeah, and he's just silent assassin, that guy.
Yeah. Made my top 10 shooters.
Yeah. It should be. At one point, he's shooting over 45% from three over the summer. The last thing I'll say about Newman for now is don't discount the value added from the number of high IQ players that they put out there. Because there are teams that will beat them on athleticism, but in terms of guys who know how to play, the kind of guys that Jackson and Newman recruit, they want guys who can play, and even guys who are going to come off the bench like Bennett White are going to be key contributors because you watch the actions they run. And I said, hey Jackson, what are you putting in? He's like, this is in the fall. He's just evaluating, but guys are running pretty sophisticated off-ball screens and Spain pick and rolls and stuff without anybody calling a play. So that's going to be hard for some of these other teams to deal with.
Yeah. And just to keep this moving, there's so much talent in AAA, but we can get to St. Thomas more. Obviously, you got London Jemison, the Alabama commit there. South Kent, I know they've undergone a lot of coaching turnover with Craig Carter now at the helm there.
And lost one of the top guards in the country.
Yeah, that's a hurt for sure.
But just kind of generally when you look at these other teams in AAA, who do you think can kind of contend with the New Hamptons and Newmans? Are there players that you are particularly really excited to see this year?
Yeah, well, you going to him? Yeah,
no. Either one.
Say Thomas More. I think you guys listed him. Christian Humphrey, who's going to Brown. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be a low-key sleeper, but they also have Brandon Benjamin, who I think is underrated. I think you and I went back and forth about him a little bit because he can put the ball on the floor, get to the hole. He's super active. Their point guard, Shuto Sakihama, is really, really...
I think he's like 5'8", 5'9", right?
Yeah, but he plays like he's 6'3".
Yeah.
He gets so low to the ground, changes direction so quickly, can shoot it, but is always looking to make the right pass. And with guys flying off, they've got a big too. And I don't think he's going to score 20 points a game. But Kieran Mullen, who's from Vancouver, he wasn't dressed today. He was in a boot, I think, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I was down there. But he played the other day in the scrimmage against Cats, and what I saw of that, he looked pretty good. He was going with Leo and doing all right. They got Petaway, they got Hawkins. That's a good Bryce Goldman, who is really good at Avon. That's a good team.
Yeah, and I don't think Bryce is going to be available until second semester. I think that's what Jerry.
Oh, is that true? Yeah, he wasn't at the open gym either, but he was good at NEPSAC over the summer. Yeah,
I think they've been dealing with a little bit of the injury bug preseason, but I think Jerry's really excited about just the versatility and flexibility that he has, especially in the front court. You mentioned Brandon and Kieran, just a ton of length inside that it's going to bother a lot of teams. I like going down the list. One of the players I'm most excited about is seeing it this season is Ja'Kai Rainey from Vermont Academy.
They're going to be good. Yeah.
They obviously lost a lot with Joe Son leaving to Arizona State, but I saw Ja'Kai at the NEPSAC showcases. I feel like I've written about him 4 or 5 times since. Just electric factory. On both ends of the court, can put the ball in the net, and I think he had 19 points for them in their first game. I think he led them in scoring, and just impacts the game in so many ways.
And they also have other guys, right? They've got a big in Zach Scherler, and they've got Isaiah Rose, who's a good piece for them. And I was remiss. I said this on my most recent podcast on Super Preps. I didn't make enough of Vermont winning AAA. John Zoll did a great job up there.
100%.
And, blended a lot of different ingredients. It was more than just Joe up there, even though he was the one scoring all the points.
Yeah.
And they closed the deal. And, this is pretty much a new team, but I think they're going to be good. I just didn't get the one day I was able to get up for the open gym. They weren't going that day, so I was disappointed. But I'll see him at ZG in a couple weeks.
Yep, that'll be big. ZG at Dana Barros in December. Everyone's going to be there.
I think Husak's going to sneak up on some people.
Okay.
I think they got some guys. I've been up there. If you listen to the Super Preps podcast, I make jokes about like seeing coyotes the size of wolves, but no. The Eastern European Serbian flavor of hospitality up there jibes with my way of living. I think they run a lot of good stuff. They make the most of what they have in terms of. They're not going to get these guys above the rim type of guys, but they're more athletic than people think. They've got Vlasic, they got Sisic.
Yeah,
they're tough. I think Leo Riot, the Swede, I think he could be an Ivy level player. Unai Fernandez, I always talk about his Pete Maravich passes. He did one at the showcase, the open gym out at Western New England College. I think he did it just for me. They got Luka Pesic and a bunch of other guys. I think that in terms of the preseason rankings, I think Vermont, Darrow, and Husak were all underrated, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to keep an eye. I mean,
Yeah.
it's AAA is so loaded anyway. You gotta watch all of those teams. I feel like.
Yeah.
Bridgeton's good.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about Bridgeton.
Yeah. AJ Lopes went off for 34 points.
Yep.
5 3-pointers in the second half. They couldn't get near him. He just kept backing up. And, you know, they got a big who people don't know about yet. Silla, I'm going to say it wrong. Chekna, I think it is. But he's from Mali, 6'10", but decent footwork.
Okay.
Like and he's a big body, but he's mobile. And, he was giving him fits down on the low block.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to Walt in the preseason. He was really excited about him. Darrow, we touched on them a little bit, but first season in AAA.
Yep.
With Antonio Anderson as the head coach. Tyshawn Steele.
For me, I'm sorry to
no, go ahead.
Hunter Teratana. I'm trying to get it right. Hunter's father was a pro down in New Zealand. His mother was on the New Zealand national netball team, which is a
that's
cousin.
Awesome.
Yeah. So and I met them. They're wonderful people, and they really feel good. I think about placing him at Darrow with Antonio Anderson and Brandon West.
Yep.
And he's going to be a BABC player. This kid is built like a pro.
Okay.
He's a tall 6'4".
Yeah.
I think he looks like he's still growing. He didn't get too many minutes against New Hampton, and he had 1 3 that rimmed out that would, I think, cut the lead to 4 late in the second half. It didn't go. The next day they played him more in a tight game against Bridgeton, and he went for 21. But he also had offensive rebounds. He had the Chris Paul sort of, the sort of fake spin where he goes back and then did like a little over-the-shoulder dish right in the guy's hands. So he's got some sauce in his game.
Okay.
Also incredibly fundamentally sound. His jump shot looks like an NBA jump shot, and he has a crazy dunk package.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, this guy.
I'm excited to watch this guy now.
No, this guy is like Tyshawn Steele. If he plays within himself, is going to be a big element for them. But in terms of the guy who you want to put the ball in the hands of in crunch time, it's Hunter. Hazy Maben, I think, is really good. They have another guard, Brown, and they have a whole slew of guards, but some of them have come from public school basketball where they're 2,000-point scorers, and they're still learning the decision-making process at this level because New England Prep Hoops is really good. But Darrow is better than people think. Bridgeton almost stole it up there.
Yeah.
It was a tight game. But I think, again, if you sleep on any of these teams, they're going to give you a game. It wasn't easy for New Hampton at Darrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not going to be an easy out in AAA.
Hey, it's Bobby Moran, Director of Athletics at Thayer Academy. You know what? Experience matters, and Thayer Academy's professional coaching staff understands how to work with each student athlete to help them succeed. Our coaches and faculty are committed to ensuring both 5th to 12th graders feel known, connected, and prepared. This is Thayer's secret sauce, nurturing each student to reach their full potential. Here, success is truly a team sport. Are you ready for your child to take the next step? See what Thayer has to offer at thayer.org. That's THAYER.org.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students could earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
I think as we move to AA now, I think part of the reason that it's tough to talk about all of them is there's so much depth even across classes. Like now, as we get to AA, there's I'll kind of let Steve lead on this, but obviously you start with someone like Jalen Harrell and Katz, but there are a lot of other teams. I think we've talked about how the parity is really interesting. Where do you want to start with AA?
Yeah, I don't know. Katz, I guess, is the most talented on paper.
There is a player you have hyped up to me off air that I kind of want to give you the floor on.
I mean, he's probably pretty known around these parts already, but Jackson Terry, I'm not going to say he's better than Jalen or anything, but like my hot take is that he's going to be in the discussion for maybe like Class AA Player of the Year. Like, I just love his game. Maybe it's just a little biased because I just love his game so much. But just a smooth scorer. He can defend every position defensively. And yeah, I just love his game. He's just so smooth, and I think he's sort of climbing the national rankings and starting to get more eyeballs on him. And I think he's going to have a huge winner, especially when some of these teams are going to have to. They just have so much for the opponents to sort of match up with. It's going to be hard for teams to cover all these guys: Jalen Jackson, Desmond Bellett. Leo Curtis is their new 7-footer that just came in, I think, from Iceland, right?
Yes.
Josiah Adamson from Catholic Memorial, Jalen Williams Crawford is just loaded with talent up across the board.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of cats. I've been to their open gyms a handful of times. I saw them playing in the fall league, B-Town Slam.
Yep.
And again, I saw a video, of one of their preseason scrimmages, and listen, Jalen Harrell's still the guy who's going to get the most, the highest usage rate. Like he can score the ball like few others in this part of the country. And maybe when he walks in the gym, you might not pick him out with all the athletes they have in that group. But if you've been watching basketball around, his name's been out there for several years. He was at St. Sebastian's, and he's an expressions guy, and he's going to PC, and he's big time. I also like Jax a lot. I think he's really good. He may not get as many shots in tight games as he wants. It will be interesting. It's a tough job for Kerry Herr with all these guys. Here's the thing about Leo Curtis. He's not a traditional 5. He's a stretch 5. He is a very good outside shooter, and he's pretty good he's tough. He works really hard. He's not as fluid as some guys, but like he's a high major player. They're going to want to go to him when the games are tight. Like if he rolls to the basket, you can get inside. He get to the line. And then you mentioned a lot of the key players, but you didn't even mention guys like Julian Kabori, Nelson Mjuka. And also Chol Mabor, who is from Melbourne, Australia. I believe he's South Sudanese by descent, by parentage, but he comes off the bench and adds an element that they don't have in some of the. So they're really, really stacked. And the hardest part is going to be for Kerry Herr to blend all these ingredients and make a perfect souffle because they're like you want to get a guy like Josiah Adamson on the floor, but Desmond Bellett is really, really good too. So that's a tough balance to strike. Hopefully they have enough games in the season. Everybody gets the burn they need.
That was something. When I talked with Kerry a few months ago, we have the talent. It's just like, I have the toughest job in the world to try to put this all together. And I think I didn't get to see him at all last year because I wasn't doing this, but it's something Jalen Harrell even mentioned, like maybe last year the pieces didn't necessarily mesh together the best way. And but he feels like they're year more seasoned and matured, and Jackson comes in. He's a transfer from Lawrence Academy, and it feels like a bunch of guys that know how to play the right way. So I'm excited to see where they can be, because I think with not even counting classes, just like they could handle, they could go against a New Hampton or obviously.
That's why you should go to the NEBL showcase.
Absolutely,
you can see those games.
But yeah, let's go down the line because AA is loaded. Cushing, I'm really excited about. Worcester Academy, I'm really excited about. Northfield, Mount Hermon.
Yep.
St. George's. Pick your poison, I guess.
Right. Well, I'll start with Cushing for me because they're NEBL as well. People talk about the Twin Towers of Theo Dema, who's progressed as much as any player. When I saw him at Open Gym and over the summer, compared to when he first got to Ashburnham a little over a year ago, I I asked James Cormier, the head coach, I said, how good is he? Because he looks the part.
Yep.
He said he's better than he was yesterday, and that's all we're asking from him right now. But now you add up 370, 380 days. He's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
He was pulling from 3 over the summer at the Frosh Soft showcase.
Yep.
You know, and then they've got a real 7-foot shooter in Coley Mark from Brookline who transferred from Nobles. The guys who are most interesting to me in some ways are the new guys. You got, Jay Jones, who's like having another coach out there. Penn commit was at Rivers. You guys know that very well.
Yep.
Ryan Mesh.
Oh, yeah.
Like you'd pay to see him. Like
You've also, yeah.
No. Like
I've heard his
he
name a few
is
times.
just, he's that guy. And a coach who was watching their open gym knows more basketball than I do. He said, with the ball in that guy's hands, you're always one pass away from a good shot. Whether it's hit, and he can score the ball too, but he gets into the paint. He's got explosion. He's got that wiggle. He's got a little bit of funk.
Yeah.
They list him at 6'1". He's probably not, but he can bite the rim with his teeth. And then, they've got other guys too. John Price. John Price is a sleeper, and so is Frederick Jellum from Denmark.
He has pro experience.
Yeah, and that's crazy. And he's poised, and we didn't even mention Jacob Davis. So Cushing to me is similar to New Hampton in that they bring guys back.
They added the right pieces.
Yeah, like Melson and Erickson and Davis. And then they added the right pieces, and they don't have huge depth, but I think their first 10 is very good, and they could easily compete in AAA.
Yeah. James Cormier, the head coach, was telling me that there was a play, I forget when it was, but Mesh, it must have been in a scrimmage or something. He went up and finished at the rim over Theo, who's probably a foot taller than him. Just had no fear at all going to the rim.
That sounds right.
And James said he's going to be the most polarizing player in New England. So
that's such an interesting way to describe a player.
Well, how's this? He already has a George Mason offer and a couple other D1 offers, I believe. So
that's going to keep.
Yeah. And I think the only thing that's holding him back is his size and perceived ability to defend against more athletic guards. But he is quick enough to do it, and he has no fear. You're right.
Yeah. Keep going down.
Worcester. Amir Jenkins. That's where the conversation starts for sure. They got him. They can win any game. And they got other guys like Cole Swider can shoot it. Lehman, Black.
Connor Swider.
Could I say Connor? Cole's his brother who plays pro, right? That's reflex action. Sorry, Connor. Congratulations on Youngstown State. That's a great landing.
Absolutely.
And Jake Blackburn, did he make your list of shooters?
Oh,
yes, he did.
Good.
Both of them did. Swider and Blackburn,
and Swider's unburdened. Since he committed, I believe when I saw him in one of those early morning open gyms, he shot the strings out of the net. He looks like weight of the world's off his shoulders. He's just going to let it rip, and he's hitting.
Yeah, you see that a lot of guys once they commit, and that decision is off their shoulders. Can kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah, but they got Kamen, they got Lehman. They're good.
Cam Haley. Right. I'm excited to see how Amir Jenkins transitions. Just a winner, back-to-back state championship at Worcester North. Stays home at Worcester Academy with Jamie Sullivan, and that'll be a fun group to watch. I'm really excited about NMH.
I didn't make it there this fall, and I apologize.
I haven't either. He was trying to get me really
I went last year, and it's no disrespect intended. Can I tell you a quick story, and I'll let you handle NMH, who I really, really liked last year too. I went to so many open gyms that my car died in Vernon, Connecticut. So so between having COVID back in September and losing my vehicle, I was sort of off the grid. So I didn't quite tick all of my boxes. Yeah. I'm making excuses, but it's a true story.
No, that's valid. Yeah.
I was on my way to South Kent and it died.
Sad. But yeah, NMH, Mike Shelton, I forget which year he's going into, either third? Is it third?
Yeah.
Taking over for JC there, and I think he feels like it's starting to develop and grow into the program he wants it to be. Really strong guard play. Greg Brooks.
He's good.
21.8 points per game last season. I was just writing about him today. I love the addition of Jalen Hunter Coleman, Charlestown.
Yep.
Ethan, you saw a little bit.
I saw a little bit of him in Charlestown last year. I really like him, and I know the kind of arena is a little different, but I do think he will translate very well.
Yeah.
And they bring Chowdhury back.
Chowdhury, George Washington commit. I think he averaged about 16 last year. So they have a good mix of guys returning, a deep roster. I know Mike likes the versatility of his team. He feels like they can win in a lot of different ways. They're going to be a really tough out in AA this season and give people a lot of fits. And I think they can make a good run. We'll keep going down. St. George's. They bring back Barrett Lohr finally.
Yep. Let's hope he stays healthy. I'm glad he's committed.
Yeah.
He's
Rhode
a good
Island.
kid. Dylan Villette.
Dwayne
Chess.
I love their backcourt with Chess and Giancarlos Cueto.
He's great.
And
Yeah.
Alan Wright, too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to go down and see them yet, so I'm excited to check them out. Any other AA teams that kind of cross your mind? I know Mount St. Charles, first year in NEPSAC. They got the kid Kyle Delvis that we saw at
Yeah,
NER.
I saw a lot of him in AAU this summer, TNE. He's very good.
Yeah. Trying to think off the top of my head. Any other AA teams that kind of stuck out to me? Winchendon?
Winchendon, yeah.
Is that how you say it?
You need now the penalty for saying that. You now have to go out there now.
And I have to make that drive now.
No, that's where it all started. The whole Super Preps idea started for me in Winchendon.
Is that right?
Wow.
I don't have a. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. When I did that story 22 years ago when they hosted Redemption Christian, that's when I first said there needs to be Super Preps TV. Winchendon, it's a bit of a black box for me. I haven't seen them other than at Babson and Avon this summer.
Yeah. They made a little run to the semifinals last year as a 6th seed. I think they bring back a few guys that they're going to be competitive for sure. Kimball Union.
Couple of bigs.
Yeah, Isaiah Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
They get a guard, Brandon Arnold, that Corey McClure really likes. This kid, Christian Mouse Williams. Have you heard of this kid? His literal Twitter handle is Mouse the Point Guard. And he was pumping him up to me. I'm excited to see him too.
Okay.
So yeah, AA just loaded up and down. That's going to be a fun league to monitor all season.
Yeah. I
really like Cats. I think they're the favorite, but they can be beaten by some of these teams. I'm positive of that. So.
I do think it's interesting you both talking about how what you might say is the most talented or stacked team on paper might have the biggest challenge of making that all work. It's not easy to do.
No.
Have we mentioned McDuffie?
We did not.
Yeah. They've got Javon
Perry.
Slim Perry.
Yeah.
His handle should have Slim in it if it doesn't. They got Johnny Ball committed to URI. They're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know we don't have a whole ton of time left, so we can kind of work through.
We just kept talking, huh? Jeez.
Yeah.
That's all on me.
This has been great for me.
I won't digress anymore, but
I've
I say
loved
that
this.
35 minutes into the podcast. Yeah.
We'll kind of hit Class A and B together. Maybe,
Let's quickly touch on those.
I
on
know
those classes.
I do. You can go in whatever order you want, but I do want to make sure that we talk about the kind of Brooks versus Rivers part of this, because I know Steve and I have talked about this in the office a lot. Seems like those teams are, again, kind of pretty evenly matched on paper. How do you like those two teams, the players on those two teams?
Yeah.
So I really like what Keith does at Rivers. They lost some guys, but they still bring back Alex Senko and Ryan. They're a good team. They may not be quite where they were last year. I went to their open gym. I think that they do a quality job over there. I did not make it to Brooks open gym, but obviously Alex Wilkins is big time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw in, I think Andover and Exeter are worth watching. I think Andover's improved. They got the Edmonds brothers from Wheeler.
Yeah,
and that's, Jabari Edmonds in particular,
I saw him a few times this summer.
Don't sleep on that guy.
He's good.
And Ryder Frost at Exeter, obviously.
Yeah.
Little sneak peek. Ryder Frost feature in the New England Basketball Journal magazine.
No, you'd be remiss if you didn't.
Another fall mag plug. Well,
good.
We'll have some in there. Rivers, another fall mag plug. Steve.
I'm probably most excited about that Rivers Brooks. That's where it all started for me. This spring, I went to catch their playoff game at Rivers. I've probably mentioned it already on this podcast before.
What a game to
that was
pick.
my first prep prep game I've ever been to, and probably set the standard a little too high for me going into the season.
That was an unbelievable game.
And it's worth mentioning that they're both ISL, Independent School League schools, and I think that the ISL you could do another preview show on that because it encompasses comprised of schools from Class B up to AA with St. George's and Lawrence, who are both going to be very good, as we say. Lawrence we didn't even mention with Alex Ogbueno, who was one of the top guys.
Yeah, I love Alex. Just got a Marquette offer. He's big time.
He's big time.
But yeah, Brooks. I know we talked about it earlier today in the office, but I think this could be the year for them to kind of maybe get over the Rivers hump. They added Noah Walker, kind of a 6'6", 6'7" hybrid. I think they feel like he could be almost like a Ryan Altman stopper, if that's can be if that's we can term that.
Yep.
He's good. Alex Wilkins, we already mentioned. They got some really good guard play with Trocon Harris and Emerson Davis. Those guys are fun to watch. And just like some of these other teams, they bring back a lot of guys that are year seasoned. Rivers is a little bit vulnerable, losing Jay Jones and Amir Lindsay, who were the staples of this little dynastic run. And I know those two teams have a little bit of a budding rivalry, so not even budding, it's a full-on rivalry. I know Alex and Ryan play Magic together, and I can't wait for those matchups this season.
Yeah. Sleeper team Nobles with Lombros. He's just rebuilding, but they're going to be good. Belmont Hill has that backcourt. Isaiah, but he also has Kaplan and Robinson, who are underrated in my view. And full disclosure, I went there and played a little bit there, 40 years ago for whatever that's worth.
Okay. But, or something.
I know. But like you notice, I touted Nobles first, so I'm not that if you were a real Belmont High, you wouldn't even Hill guy, you wouldn't even let the words Noble and Greeno pass through your lips. Yeah. But I love what Lombros does, and I think they made a smart hire with him, and they've got some really good players. We didn't mention Wilbraham, did we?
No, Sam Fleming.
Sam Fleming's good, and they have I'm going to say it wrong. Darius a jockey. They got they got the Okpara kid. They're going to be pretty good too.
Yeah, I know they had a little bit of a down year last year, and Sam was kind of transitioning to the NEPSAC level, and
he looks good now though.
He looks good now. Have you seen him this summer?
Yeah, I went to their open gym. I saw him, and he's got some offers, right? He's got West Virginia, Michigan State, like BC, Xavier, like that tells you something.
Yep,
definitely.
Dexter will be.
Dexter's good with Sam. Yeah,
Sam Hughes.
Sam Hughes, big time.
I like the kid Latif Afalobi. They added some guards. They'll be a playoff team in Class A, I think.
Yeah, there are other schools too, like Loomis, Chafee with Charlie O'Sullivan, 6'11", Ben Price. They got a bunch of guys. There are a lot of schools that we probably skipped over.
Taft.
And Taft with Jaden Reed. I am weak, being perfectly frank, on Connecticut beyond obviously I go see St. Thomas More and Putnam, South Kent. But, Avon has a couple guys, Declan Griffith, I'm going to say it wrong, Abdrahman Koulibaly, he's going to Ryder. Hotchkiss has Dean Hogan, who's going to American, and 7-footer Ian Randall. So there's a lot. Westminster's good. Frederick Gunn has a couple guys. There are teams that we're skipping over that deserve mention and maybe a separate show. Founders League and ISL could have their own shows, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
there's so many schools, so many players. So we're not going to get all of them on this show, obviously. But
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, Class A and B are two of the largest. They're much larger than AA and AAA.
Choate.
So. Yep.
Jake Paluzzi, Jack Sullivan. Going to Yale.
Yeah. You can keep rolling.
I can.
It's awesome.
You can go for another 2 hours.
I've lost my mind, but thank you for entertaining me.
It's amazing. And so I think a good way to kind of wrap this up, I know we discussed possibly doing predictions, possibly doing other kind of takes. I'll give you a more general floor for each of you. If you want to kind of stand on business with a season prediction of some sort, whether that is a title pick in a respective class, an absolute certified breakout star that you want to make sure gets mentioned. I'll start with you, Steve, and then we can go to you, Brad. Or we can flip if one of you has a more immediate answer. But this is kind of your floor so that when we look back in mid-March, you're like, yes, I did call this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna break the internet with any of these takes, but I'll dig my heels into the sand with New Hampton. Finally getting over the hump. I just feel like it's their time with Keyshawn and Mason. Those guys have been playing together for 3 years between New Hampton, City Rocks. I think this is their time. I keep going back and forth in AA. Between Cats and Cushing. I got to see them play first. I don't know if I want to make that's a
respectful take. Yeah.
I've seen them both in open gyms. I love both of their strengths and what they can do. And then I'll dig my heels into the ground with Brooks in Class B.
Okay.
Sorry, Rivers.
I think that one's going to be put on the virtual bulletin board.
Ryan Altman's going to find this clip and play it.
Yeah. All right, Brad. Go ahead. Any direction you want to take this.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to go outside the lines. Like
go for it.
My top 5. Like I'm looking at it mainly because I'm prepping for these games on Saturday through the lens of the NEBL, which includes Brewster's AAA team, which we didn't talk about, but has a few players of note, and also Putnam, who are Power 5, like Redemption, but like Putnam Science they're worth watching. Like you could go on and on about the talent that's there, but for me, it's very fine margins between the top NEBL teams, whether it's Newman, who are AAA, as you say, and Cushing, AA, New Hampton, who I can't argue with that pick because of their continuity and their coaching as well as the talent level there, and then Putnam and Cats, those 5, and then there are some sleepers from outside like Bridgeport, who we haven't even mentioned, who are going to be better than people think. I think Vermont's going to be better than people think, but as for players. Like a sleeper pick, we've already talked about him. I think Murillo is gonna open some eyes and be really good. And I can't argue with you about Brooks because other than Avon and Babson, Babson is really where I saw them, and they're good, And I saw a lot of Wilkins with Middlesex Magic, and he's tremendous. So, I'm going to concur with you on most of it, but I'm sure inevitably there's a team that I failed to mention who are going to open eyes this year. I think we undersold Lawrence, who maybe only have 3 or 4, but their 3 or 4 are so good that they're going to. Certainly with their ISL schedule, I think they're going to pound some people. And then when they play at the AA level, it's going to be harder because they don't really have a bench to match. They have a bench, but it doesn't match the teams that we've talked about.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow, we're going to have you on at some point during the season, and either like a mid-season check-in or maybe the tournament preview, because this is great. We hit, for 50 minutes, we packed about as much as you could ask for.
Okay, so can I get one a plug in at Super Preps on IG and Twitter? Look for the Game On Total Sports Network and the NEBL Showcase, and I have a book coming out in 2025 about the world of prep school basketball.
Oh man, okay. That I'm really excited for.
Love it.
Dang, all right. Well, that was awesome. I really enjoyed just kind of watching you both cook there, and yes, I'm on the Lucas Murillo train too. So for Brad Feldman and for Steve Hewitt, I'm Ethan Fuller. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.